Hey, I think we're live. How's it going? Hello, beautiful people of the world. We are going to get started in just a couple minutes. We are waiting for folks to join. If you are here, just type in the chat. Let me know that you are here, um, and we'll get started. So, can you hear me? Can you see me? This is a live webinar, and let's just see if this tech works for us today. Hello, welcome. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in just a few minutes here. Welcome, Betsy. Welcome, Kyle. What's going on, beautiful people? Beautiful people of the world. We are all here together live. What's going on? Hello, Johan. Johan, hello, welcome. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the masterclass. Excited to get started in just a couple minutes. As you're getting settled in here, type in the chat where you're coming in from. Hello, Nadine. Welcome, welcome. Type in the chat where you're coming in from. Welcome, Sam. We've got Sam in the house. Wonderful. Hello, Elaine. Welcome. We're going to get started. Teal, Mark, absolutely excited to have you here. We're going to get started in a couple minutes, waiting for some folks to join. This is a live masterclass here on this Thursday, sometime in the winter. I'm not exactly sure what day it is. Wait a minute. Somebody tell me what day it is. I know it's Thursday. We're going to get started in just a minute here, waiting for some folks to join. And so type in the chat. Do you see the chat working for you in the top? Type in that chat where you're coming in from. Johan from Australia. Hello. Peter from Phoenix, Arizona is in the house. Kyle's from Oregon. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so as you're joining, type in the chat where you're coming in from. Hello, Tom. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. We've got a lot of great cover. Hey, what's going on, Mark? Coming in from Malvern. Is that Malvern, Texas? Malvern, Minnesota? I'm not sure where Malvern is. Oh, Malvern, New York. I'm a New Yorker. I should know where Malvern is. Malvern, Long Island. Awesome. Hello, Connie. Welcome. We're going to get started here in about 10 seconds. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So, your time is valuable. My time is just as valuable. And I take you and your business really seriously. So if you've carved out time today to talk about really crossing the chasm for your business, the playbook to cross that chasm, attract ideal customers, and close more sales, I take you and your business super seriously. So I'm really glad you're here. Hello. If you're here, you're arriving, just type in the chat where you're coming in from. Hello, John and Romana. So you're familiar with the Crossing the Chasm. You're familiar with this wonderful book by Jeffrey Morris. So we're going to reference this chasm that a lot of business sadly fall into. They're unable to cross that chasm. Hello from St. Petersburg, Florida. So type in the chat here, what business are you in? What business are you in? Type in the chat. This is a masterclass. This is a very interactive session here. Want to make sure you get value from your time that you're spending with me to talk about crossing the chasm for your business. Connie, data and technology consulting. Awesome. Welcome, Connie. John, healthcare and software sales. Awesome. Romana, real estate. Betsy, software for labor negotiations. Very interesting. Paul, software, sales engagement for life sciences. Welcome, Paul. Peter, SaaS. Awesome. Okay, a little more specific for us. That would be great. Keith, sales enablement sales, SaaS, sales strategist. Wonderful. Welcome, Keith. Awesome to meet you guys. I take you guys super seriously, and we're going to get into this right now. All right. So it really is game over for most marketing playbooks. And I know that you know that. We're going to talk about the new way here today. And ChatGPT is not going to save you. It's going to save a lot of us from doing a lot of mundane things, and it's going to help us be super powerful and creative, but it's not going to save you from what we're talking about today. And your marketing person isn't going to save you from what we're talking about today because we're going to be talking about positioning. Because most sales and marketing challenges are not sales and marketing challenges. They're really positioning challenges. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The positioning to cross the chasm, to use the right playbook, to attract ideal customers and grow your business. We're going to be talking today about how your story that you're using is the strategy for your business. It's actually the business strategy. They're one and the same. And that's why it's positioning. So I'm delighted you guys are here. Hello, Teal. I see you're in K-12 EdTech. Welcome. Peter, Automotive Technology Marketplace. You guys are doing some awesome things, and I am so grateful that you're here because you are going to get, and I'm committed to you getting enormous value. We're talking about like, be quiet, Siri. We're talking about brain exploding value from this session. So I'm going to go super fast because I know you can handle it. Hello, Yogesh. Welcome. Type in the chat where you're coming from and what business you're in. So here we have some customers of ours, and we have been delighted to work with them, and they are similar to you, and we're going to be talking about who they are, who you are, to make sure that we're all in the right place here. Because I know a lot is at risk for you guys. I do know this. The market is shifting. There's a steep decline in win rates across regions, across the world, across industries. Win rates have gone down. That means the buying patterns have changed. Marketing is a money pit, as Donald Miller says. Huge waste of money is going into marketing. Perfect deals are being lost to indecision. Teams are misaligned. VC funding is harder to get, and businesses are failing, and many will fail this year. I know the risks are high. I know you're here right now because you want to dial in your positioning, and we're going to give you some strategies to do that. Welcome, Thomas. Welcome, Darla. Mandel. Folks are still joining. Really delighted you guys are here. Type in the chat where you're coming in from and what is your business. What is your business? All right. So yeah, this is just reality, right? But rebranding the site doesn't necessarily mean anything for sales. So who is your ideal customer? Let's keep them in mind. Let's put our arms around them virtually and type in the chat here, who is your ideal customer? Type in the chat. And because how well you understand your ideal customer, put them in a room, conglomerate, sort of put them in a blender. How well you understand them is your biggest competitive advantage. So let's keep your ideal customer in mind throughout this masterclass. This is critical. Type in the chat who your ideal customer is. Keith, Lehigh Valley, Mark, buyer of smart devices. Paul, VP or marketing sales. Great. Connie, for businesses who want to understand their customer and develop their audience using third-party data. Great. Keep those folks in mind who your ideal customer is. All right. So I guess you can hear me, you can see me. So we're going to jump into this. So how many at-bats have you had since January 1? Here we are, March, beginning of March. Do you have a clear sense of how many times you've had a chance to talk to customers? Type that in the chat. Let's get a sense of that. And how many have you closed? This is not a pipeline review, but I just want to get a sense of, are you going to market? Are you having conversations? Are you selling? Type in the chat. All right, Keith, we got 20. John, 3. All right, so if you're not typing in anything, I'll assume that you're still trying to sell that. So who is this for? This playbook that we're going to be talking about today is for CEOs bringing innovation to their customers. CEOs who are committed to the vision for their business. So if this is you, you're here in the right place. CEOs of early stage or growth stage companies who are plateauing in the 2 to 50 million range, but really want to level up. CEOs whose success depends on winning against the status quo. So you may not have that much competition doing exactly what you're doing, but your success depends on winning against the same old, same old. And CEOs who are able to invest time and money into the business, into positioning, because otherwise it's not going to work. And clearly you're here because you're investing time. But if this is not you, feel free to drop off this webinar. You may not got the value that I want you to have. So this is really for this group of people. So if this is you, just type in a 1 in the chat so we know that this is you. All right, so my promise to you in the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about how to nail your sales message, even if your solution is sophisticated, complicated, needs to be demonstrated, and even your prospects don't even know that they need it. I'm going to show you how to turn sales presentations into buying conversations even if your prospects weren't even looking for your solution in the first place. We're going to be talking why it's absolutely game over for traditional marketing strategies and what you absolutely need to do instead, how to close more deals even in a recession or cash-strapped market, and how to attract and close ideal customers without adding headcount to your team. That's my promise to you, and this is what you're going to get. I'm committed that you're going to get that in the next 45 minutes. Also, for bonus, we're going to give to you this PDF of a magnetic messaging framework handout. It's a PDF you're going to click on and download it. It is awesome. It has all the sections that you really should look at as a template. You don't want to miss this so that you can level up your homepage. And we're also going to put this out there at the end. All right. So welcome, Nicole, Daniel, Mike. So glad you guys are here. Awesome. The 5-part Challenger CEO playbook to cross the chasm, attract ideal customers, and close more sales. That's what we're jumping into right now. But first, is this you? So do you think to yourself that, look, what you're selling should be a no-brainer for your ideal customer that you had your arm around, but it's not a no-brainer? Are you thinking to yourself, like, if they only saw or knew the power of what this is, then it would be a no-brainer, but they don't. Reality check. You have a marketer that is doing a lot of marketing, but it's not converting to sales. If that's you, you're in the right place. A lot of demos, if you're having a lot of demos and they're not converting in sales, you're in the right place. If you've read a lot of great books, maybe all of these books from Seth Godin to Donald Miller to Gap Selling, but then you look at your actual sales process and you look at your positioning, you look at your website, your sales deck, and it doesn't do what you want it to do. You sort of have the knowledge, you know what it should be, but there's something wrong about the reality of how you're being represented. So do you look at your sales reps? And by the way, if that's you, you're in the right place. You look at your sales reps and maybe they're saying two different things. They're not all singing from the same hymn sheet. Then you're in the right place, especially if you're afraid to invest in marketing and sales because you're not feeling confident about the positioning and the messages you're using. You are in the right place for this webinar. So I'm really glad you're here. If you're spending money on a graphics person, a website person, social and PPC, but what you seem to be lacking is a single compelling story, a single simple compelling story that everything is hanging on, and then you're in the right place. If you look at your sales deck, and this is a telltale sign, and it's something like a white background with lots of text on it with page numbers, and you're sending out this deck to people and not getting a response, then you are in the right place. If you look at the language that you're using in your proposals on your homepage, and the language sounds something like this, the platform driving transparent, data-driven, blah, 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 stuff like this, creating innovative workflow technologies that drives blah, 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 then you are in the right place. If you're using this blah, 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 if you're using these language here, like category defining, unified solution, AI driven, all-in-one software platform, this kind of language, by the way, puts customers to sleep, and it's indistinguishable from any other solution out there. So if you're using language like this, you're in the right place from this marketing. So by the way, if any of this is resonating with you, give me I don't know, a 5 in the chat. So I know that you're here and this is resonating, that this is for you. Do you get people when they talk to you and your salespeople and they're like, gosh, I really love what you're saying, but we didn't get what you're saying at all from your website? Well, then you are in the right place for this messaging. And if shoving more stuff in people's faces, like competitive matrices, case studies, ROI calculators, and full feature demos isn't helping you convert, then you are in the right place. If you're thinking, well, how can our messaging be simple if our solution is so sophisticated and every deal is complex and every customer is unique? If you're sort of drowning in this quagmire, then you're in the right place. Seeing deals pipelines go up and closed deals go down, losing to the status quo, blah, 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 blah. I've got some good news for you. The good news is this, that those are just symptoms. Those are symptoms. And the real problem that you're facing if you're experiencing those, and by the way, give me a 5 in the chat if you experienced any one of those or a few of those. The real problem is that you haven't made these 5 shifts that we're going to be talking about, which are the essential shifts in the playbook for CEOs to cross the chasm, attract ideal customers, and grow their business. So we're going to be talking about these 5 shifts. And if once you make these 5 shifts, you're going to see that you'll have complete confidence in marketing you spend. You're going to lead your category, accelerate qualification with closed deals in the pipeline. Your leadership team, the people you rely on, are all going to be aligned because they're going to be involved with this transformation. The presentations will be unforgettable, breakthrough conversations that leave your customers really opening their minds and allowing you to close deals moving forward. It's some real Jedi stuff here. Prospects will be showing up predisposed to buy your solution in the first conversation you have. So that's the power of these things. So thank you, Mendel, Mike 5, John 5, Betsy 5. Awesome. Nicole 5. So who am I? I help CEOs lead their categories. My name is Greg Rosner. I'm the CEO of PitchKitchen. I'm also a fractional CMO for 2 organizations, and my agency PitchKitchen provides services using what I've learned, what we practice, the frameworks we've developed. Before I started PitchKitchen, I was actually a salesperson selling enterprise software and services. And what I noticed very clearly that I was dealing with sales decks that were designed by marketing, thrown over the fence to me in sales, expected to sell with them. And they were terrible. You know the ones, filled with logos and blah, blah about how great the solution is. But they failed me to have the right conversations that I needed with customers, prospects. And these were multi-million-dollar deals involving many different people, taking many months to sell. And I knew I needed something different. So I started a side hustle. And as I was starting there, developing sales decks that were really conversational guides instead of sales pitches. And boom, I started winning deals, created the side hustle, helping other companies with a conversational method, really slides that were topic driven instead of just a regurgitation of the webpage. Totally winning, totally crushing it. And after doing 3,000 sales presentations, and that helped companies earn millions of dollars, and pitch decks that got millions of dollars of investments, I saw a pattern of what works, what doesn't work. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today in this webinar. So that's why I'm also a father of 3 and a very busy man. So I'm really, and you're all busy too. So I'm really grateful for this time that we have here together. So if you're ready to get started here, give me a 10 in the chat here. Just give me a 10 if you're ready to get started. All right. Betsy, John, Teal, Nicole, Johan, Jason, Keith, Paul, Mark, Mike, 11. Mike, I like Mike's giving me an 11. Awesome, Mike. All right. So the first thing got to do, the first piece of the playbook, Marco, 10, Mendel, is lead an uprising, lead a rebellion. Now, what am I talking about? Lead a rebellion. So are you a challenger CEO? Probably. All right. If you're a challenger CEO, you're here. Type in the chat, what are you challenging? Right? Type in the chat, what are you challenging in your business? Type it in there. If you are a challenger CEO, what are you challenging? Are you selling an innovation? Yep. Keith, the sales enablement industry. Wonderful. What are you challenging? So what about the sales enablement industry you challenge? So get really specific. The more specific you are, the better, the more you're going to get out of this workshop today. The VR industry. So you're challenging the industry, but what specifically are you challenging? Let's dive in there. I'm going to challenge you guys to really get clear. If you think you're a challenger CEO, crossing the chasm, blah, 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 What are you challenging? All right. You're challenging fintech and banking industry to become heart centered. Okay, so that's challenging them to do something great, but what are you challenging on the other side? All right, so we're going to be jumping into that. Are you selling an innovation? Give me a, I don't know, say yes in the chat if you're selling an innovation. Yes, Mark, John, Connie. Yes, 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 yes. All right, I have one question for these folks. Says who? Says who? So that question, I'm not just a New Yorker being snarky, but you appreciate where I'm coming from. We can't even call what we're selling an innovation. We can be challenging an old way, but we can't be talking about and making claims that we're the best, we're selling an innovation, because that is the old way. This is one of the fundamental shifts. We're going to jump into this. So, the old way that doesn't work anymore is you're coming off in your marketing, in your positioning as an expert that's making claims about why you're the best and here's why, because it's an innovation. All right. The new way is you're taking the Obi-Wan approach. You're the rebel leader, encouraging to make a change, saying that the old way is dead and winners are taking this new approach. And by the way, our quote innovation is helping you win in that innovation. So look at this as a game over narrative. So Gong uses this, saying goodbye to the old way and hello to the new way. So type in the chat here, what are you rebelling against? If you're going to lead an uprising against the bad thing or the old way that's holding your customers back from being successful, what are you rebelling against? Type in the chat now if you know. So this is what you got to clarify. You got to think this is a shift that you need to make. It's one of the five is lead an uprising. So Connie, commoditized banking products and services. Love that. Keith, rebelling against no decision outcomes. Yes. Teal, entrenched car dealer, bad practices. Yes. And be specific. So if they're entrenched car dealer, but what is that bad practice? Get really specific. More clarity you can bring to the old way that no longer works. It really holds your people back. The tribe of people that you have your arms around, those are your people that you're helping being successful. You are rebelling against something. You want to lead an uprising to help them conquer that old way or get rid of that old way or stop doing that old way and do it a new way, to which your product, your solution confers an advantage to it, helps them get that outcome. All right. So, Kyle, rebelling against head mounted displays. All right. So, you must have some sort of contrarian ideology. That's also a requirement for you to do. Simon Sinek, in order to stand out, we have to know what we stand for. Absolutely. So, what might be the thing? You can type in the chat here, since you guys are really jumping in and participating. By the way, I love this. This is a requirement for you to get value from the session. What do you want people to stop doing? They need to stop doing something and they need to start doing something. And the start doing thing can't just be buy your product because people aren't really buying your product. Like, that's not the thing they want. They want the outcomes, the result that your product offers, don't they? So, what are you basically saying to them? Type in the chat, stop doing something, start doing whatever. So, this is really the uprising, the rebellion that you need to get clear on. All right, so you need to lead an uprising against the status quo if you want to be your market leader. Otherwise, you're a sideshow in a very noisy market. So look at some of the hashtags that businesses and presidents have even used. What do these hashtags have in common? You see on your screen, from Trust Your Source for the Wall Street Journal, Nike, Charles Schwab, Own Your Tomorrow. Look at these. And in the context of leading your people to a better world, what do all these have in common? Type in the chat. Mike, I like that. Retire your spreadsheets and use a system. Bring power to the people, shift away from, okay, action statements. Yes, Nicole, John, Thomas. Action, action oriented. And so it is an action that your customers need to take, an action stopping the thing that they're currently doing and starting doing the thing. So if we're talking about crossing the chasm, that's the theme for today. They have to, in order for them to cross the chasm, they have to stop doing what they're doing and start doing something else. But most of your customers, prospects, aren't ready to stop. They're not. And we're going to be talking about this today because you are the enemy. If you're selling innovations or solutions, you're the enemy to the status quo. So let's talk about this. So here's that bell curve again from crossing the chasm. There are going to be people on the left side of this bell curve where the risk of changing is really great. And the right side of this, the risk of doing nothing is really big. In fact, the people on the right side, the risk of doing nothing is more than the risk of changing, and they have to do something. They're really worried about the problems that they're going to get if they don't make a change. So if you're selling to the people on the left of this, or just shy of the left, you're really the enemy of these people because the risk of changing is greater than the risk of doing nothing. So we're going to be talking today about, well, how do you sell that? We're going to be talking about influencing people along this spectrum. So if you know what your battle cry is in 3 or 4 words, type it in here. Battle cry might be it's an action. You're asking your people who you're helping do something to be successful. What's your just do it hashtag? Type it in there in the chat. Uh, bad news, folks. Some of you here aren't going to make it. I want every one of you here to be successful, and that's why I'm spending time with you. But the reality is, in spite of that, some of you aren't going to make it. A lot of, I think, Gartner came out with 72% of SaaS companies are failing by year 3. So Jeff Aronson, president and CEO of EquipX, just a quick story. Before he made these shifts, was offering a very confusing offering, and I'll show you what that looks like. Pipeline was thin, letting key partners, investors down, losing deals to no decision. And this is actually what their website looked before. Gobbledygook maximizes the profitability of what? Like, I have no idea what they're selling. Afterwards, 3x their revenue in 4 months, and 6x. I don't know what quintuplets. So that's 5. I don't even know what the word is for 6. Massively increased their pipeline in 4 months. Confidence in marketing spend. Partners can sell easily, and really grateful. And I'm so proud of them. This is the after, where they really dialed in the rebellion that they're inspiring in their customers, and that's what that after looks like. So does this make sense? Type in the chat here that leading an uprising is a shift that you need to make in your positioning of your, just type in makes sense if this makes sense. You need to lead an uprising. All right, Mark, that make sense. Connie, Yogesh, makes sense. Paul, makes sense. John, Mike, total. All right, number 2, you need to start with the problem. Now, a lot of people don't like to talk about the problem for some reason, and I can't understand why. But why not just start with your solution? So this is why you can't start with your solution. This is the marketing tech landscape, and probably in your industry, it's probably just as crowded. So if you're starting with your solution, what do you think happens in this sea of solutions? Type in the chat. What happens if you're leading with your solution? Anyone? Drown. Yes. Lost. Nothing. Yes. Gets lost. Yes. So it's just noise. It's noise, and it's more noise. Absolutely. So solution marketing doesn't work anymore because it doesn't answer these 3 questions. Why should I, your customer, change from what I'm doing? Why should I change right now versus never, or 3 years from now, or next month? Why should I change with your solution that you're offering? So it needs to answer these questions. So going back to the chasm thing, these are the people here that, this is where you are. You're also here in this chasm, trying to go from early adopters to early majority, but put it on your customers, turn this around, where the risk of changing for them to the method or the approach that you're selling, even though you're not selling, you're selling a solution or an innovation that is ultimately getting them to do something where the risk of changing might be too great. Versus on the other side, there are people who the risk of doing nothing is too great. So you got to ignore a lot of these people on the chart. You got to educate people in this area, influence people in this area, and encourage everybody who are feeling that the risk of doing nothing is greater. And so this depends, all of this ability for you to be able to do that depends on your ability to empathize with your customer's problem. So I'm just curious. Most people fail at this. Let's see if we have any winners here. This is the test. Type in the chat. What is the number one problem your customers have in the context of your offering? So, like, what is the number one problem they have? What is the number one problem? So, like, they can have lots of problems, but what's the number one problem they have that your solution solves? So, Elaine, they are in pain. Okay, right. What? Like, please be specific. I'm in pain too. Like, everyone's in pain, but your customers, you need to empathize with what does that look like? Teal, they don't know if they're doing is making a difference. So I'm not sure what that means. Clarify. Peter, frustration, friction buying a car from a dealer. Yes, I know what that's like. Can't deal with the back and forth shadiness of dealers. Mark, can't get their devices to work seamlessly. Love that. You guys are doing really well. Lack of upstream supply visibility. So they have bad visibility. So kind of say it. They can't see upstream. And can't seeing upstream causes what? Marco, losing customers and subscribers. Great. You guys totally rock this. Really well done. You'd be surprised how many business owners, CEOs cannot describe the problem. And that's for a reason that we're going to talk about soon, that a lot of CEOs are so obsessed with their solution, they forget that this is the reason why your customers want to cross that chasm with you. Data management from Yogesh, extremely manual that leads to errors, delays. Awesome. So when you go to websites here, and I'm not sure if we put in any of your websites here in WTF, what the F does this company do? So this is using ChatGPT to summarize what it thinks your company does. And this is really funny because so many B2B websites, it's just like, it takes like brain cells, like, oh my gosh, my brain's exploding trying to figure out what this company does. And this is just, kind of funny. But the reality is, if your prospects come to your site and in 5 seconds they can't understand what it is that you're selling, they're just going to bounce. They're just going to go away. And most B2B websites and messaging is so sort of obsessed with their why, where they came from, and how they're changing the future of blah, blah, blah. But your customers, think about it, they don't really care about your why. And demoing your solution doesn't really convince them of anything. Um, if you don't believe me, just look at the reports from Gartner. I think 72% or 80% or 8 out of 10 do not result in sales, because people are believing the things that they themselves decide, not the things that you tell them. So starting with the problem does a lot of great things for you, because it allows you to describe with clarity what the problems your customers are facing, and you probably know their problem better than they know their problem. And if you can do that and describe it in your messaging, on your homepage, everywhere you can, you will immediately present yourself and your solution as the best solution, because you are close to their problem. You understand and empathize with their problem. So that's just, a really better way. These are just a couple examples of, don't get stuck in decision loops. This is software for decision making. Turn your paper checklist into smart forms, speaks to the transformation, and how, in this case, nurses are spending too much time with paperwork and not with patients. That's speaking to the problem. Really very, very good. So starting with the problem in your messaging right everywhere, sort of infused in your messaging and positioning is great, and it really does work. And so if this makes sense to you, type in the chat makes sense. Mike bummed, got to run. Okay, we'll see you later, Mike. Awesome, makes sense, John. Paul, Thomas, Peter, Nicole, Betsy, makes sense. Awesome. All right, number three. Number three, to cross the playbook for crossing the chasm, attracting ideal customers and growing your sales is to make your customer the hero. Now, I know you've heard this before. However, if I went to your website right now on your homepage, what might be your homepage obsessed with? I don't mean to be a snarky New Yorker, but mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all here? So the reality is, most of B2B sites somehow get caught in this, making themselves the hero. There's an example, bringing clarity to risk. Who's bringing clarity to risk? Oh, Acuity is. I don't really care. I don't really want to make Acuity a better company. I want to make my company a better company because I'm the hero of the story. I'm the one that's buying because I'm the one that's suffering. I need to change things. I need to achieve something. I am your customer. You get it? Making your customer the hero is simple to do, but very hard to do. CEOs like, yeah, let's do that. Marketers like, I can do that. Reality is, nobody has any idea on how to actually make the customer the hero in the positioning. So who's the hero on your homepage right now? And I can promise you, if you have language like this, we're the future of, we're disrupting, our mission is, this is language that positions and has the voice of you, your solution, your company being the hero. And it is in direct opposition with what the narrative, what would compel your customers to want to do business, to buy your product, is that they're the ones that need to get there. And your role is the guide, the trusted advisor of the story that helps them do that. So if your website is obsessed, and some of you have seen this meme that I did, by the way, your innovative solution is really looking like that on the left instead of very attractive on the right. So Zoom Info does this with 3 words: hit your number. And the only way that Zoom is saying this is because they're selling a product that's helping their customers hit their number. And it makes sense and it works and it's great. And you can appreciate that every bit of marketing and positioning they're going to do is positioning themselves as helping their customers be better. This is a before website where they're selling this emotional AI solution that does who knows what with AI human interaction, creating a better world for tomorrow. It's about them being the hero. Now, look, this is the after. Oh, give doctors superpowers, bring emotional AI to patient encounters. Oh, makes so much sense now. I see what's happening. They're helping doctors help people. And so that's the idea. It's a positioning, messaging shift. This is a before, very bad example, transforming mental health care delivery. Well, that's all about them. Very nice. Also, terrible imagery, by the way. Absolutely terrible. Don't use imagery like that. Old way, saying things like, we're the best, why we're the best, versus how we can make you better. This is a fundamental shift, a positioning shift that you need to be making. And if you consider what you're really selling, your customers are dealing with their current world, but they want to get to a place where things are being done better. So, where does your product or solution fit in this? It fits somewhere along that line where your solution is there helping them get to this future state. So, what are you really selling? Type in the chat here. Obai, Mike, Betsy, Nicole, Peter, Teal, Marco, Jason, John, type in the chat. What are you really selling? What are you really selling? If your solution is along a continuum for helping your customers get from where they are to where they want to go. Lower turnover. Yeah. Yeah. That's what they want. I would say lower turnover is that future state, but what are you really selling? What is your solution then? Um, Less planned absences, the synchronized. So this is the answer I was looking for, uh, but I'm not getting, and that's okay. What I think you're really selling is what I call transformation, because your uprising is calling action for them to take action, for them to do something in order for them to transform and get to that place, that future state where they're doing things better, how they're doing things or what they're doing is better. So that's really what you're selling, because there are going to be a lot of folks where the risk of changing is just too great. But there are going to be a lot of folks who the risk of doing nothing is also too great and they can't tolerate it. And you're going to meet a lot of people in your sales process that are along this curve. And they're moving, they're not static, they're moving. And especially if you're dealing with buyer teams, not just individuals, you're dealing with individuals that will place themselves differently along the spectrum. Yeah. And so it's about your influencing that change. And, can you influence with facts? I put out this poll on LinkedIn. Do facts change people's minds? Shocking. 63% saying no. Facts do not change people's minds. So that doesn't work. So what changes people's minds? In my experience, and probably in yours, it's your involvement in their story of change that will influence their change, almost being like a Sherpa in helping them carry their load from where they are to where they want to go and helping them understand every step of the way. So I wanted to say for some people that have to go, I'm just going to put this up on the screen, um, that there's an offer here. If you wanted to book some time with me, this is not for everyone. This is for CEOs only, and CEOs who are serious about fixing their business can book here with me. But we're not getting into this now. I just wanted to put that out there. So this is a case study that I don't have time for, but I wanted to just let you know Tricia had gone through these changes and is now experiencing some awesome uptick on the business. All right. So we talked now about making your customer the hero. Uh, if Would it be ridiculous? Type in the chat. Would it be ridiculous to actually, in your marketing and in your messaging, make your customer the hero? Does that sound ridiculous? uh, Type in the chat what your answer is to that. Would it be ridiculous to make your customer the hero instead of your solution? No. Peter, Mark, John. No, no, no. It's not ridiculous. All right. Number 4, use the secret weapon. This is one of the 5 parts of the playbook, and it's really around the frameworks that you need to use. And the secret weapon is what we call here at PitchKitchen the magnetic messaging framework. And there are 3 parts. The first part is this game over positioning that includes a hashtag, heroic messaging, and where your story is the North Star. It's a singular, very simple story that everything in your marketing hangs down from. The second is your homepage, your conversion site, where every prospect or anybody that ever hears about you comes across your business, talks to you, talks to your people, whatever. Before they even have conversations with your team, they are showing up to your homepage. And this is your most important storefront experience, has to communicate the value before the first conversation. This is really important. And in the webinar today, at the end, you're going to get this 10-part transformation story structure, magnetic messaging framework that you could use as a template for yours. The third part of the magnetic messaging framework is a choose your own adventure sales presentation, where it's like the best sales deck ever because it can go anywhere and it's topic based and conversation based, as I talked about before. So these are the 3 parts here. You want to turn your website into a conversion site. What I mean by that is it's got to be a home run for your customers. And I'm just going to share some websites here, Webflow, that really use this magnetic messaging framework. where the site you want, the goal, without the thing you don't want, without the bad thing. Get user insights in hours, not days. So it speaks to the benefit versus the typical old way of doing things. Loom on. This is, the future versus the thing that they don't want to be doing anymore. It's not interactive, it's not working. If it's not interactive, it's not working. So it really contrasts the old way versus the new way. Textbooks are no longer enough. And I think in this meeting today, we've got someone from the learning community, and this is an attack against the old way, and it really is great. So right now, this is the magnetic messaging framework template. I'm going to put this at the end of the webinar, but you're going to see here in the template you'll download that each section here above the fold has, the call to action, the uprising, the outcome that the folks are looking for. It's really about them. And you'd be surprised how many B2B sites don't even put right there at the top, who is this for? Because people will bounce if they think it's for somebody else or a different type of business, a Fortune 1000 company, for example, instead of a small business. So call to actions, people will bounce if they're sort of, confusing, like join the adventure or learn more. No, you need to have very clear calls to action, and will work better for you to get those conversions to meetings. So I'm not going to go through each of these pieces, but you can just see on my screen, this is a template that you can totally rock on with. And this has been developed from really research and looking at what the top, I think, 300 B2B websites are using. All right, so these are also some examples that have great, inspiring calls to action right at the top. Make cybersecurity simple, make your HOA smarter. Um, and with regard to your sales presentations, the idea of a choose your own adventure really is a 3-part sales presentation. So instead of having slides that are about just regurgitating what's on your homepage, have slides that really reflect the natural experience you have with your customers. Where, if you think back at the last meeting you had with someone, it was probably 3 parts. You talked about, well, after the weather and COVID, whatever, you talked about some of the challenges they have. You talked about the solution that you're offering, and you talked about how they can implement it. This is a very natural structure. So put your presentations in 3 parts, and each one of them should really contain the these are just some examples of decks that do this. Contain the conversations that you need to have. So if you screenshot this slide, this is really important. This is after doing all these presentations, thousands of them. We realize the conversations that need to happen in these 3 buckets: around the problem, around the solution, and the plan section. So you may not need to have all these conversations. These are topical, but you will need to have these 3 in every interaction you have. It's better to be armed with all of them. Super, super helpful. So anyway, just to recap, the magnetic messaging framework is that game over positioning, the heroic homepage revamp, and a choose your own adventure sales presentation. So that is the 3rd part. So as we get into the 5th part here, I want to just check in with everybody. How are we doing? Is this jiving with what you already know? Is there anything shocking from what we're talking about? We're going to talk about number 5 now here, which is to invest in expert help. So I love Disney, and Disney is great at storytelling. And this story of Buzz Lightyear is so classic, where customers that people you meet all the time, where they're saying, "Oh, my company provides a very complex, amazing solution, leveraging blah blah blah," and you have no idea what they do. Their elevator pitch, if you will, is just completely uh, groundless. And that's because when you're inside the box, it's hard to see what customers see. And so if it wasn't for Woody in this Toy Story, poor Buzz would be stuck in devastation mode when he realizes that he is just a toy like millions of others. So having this outsider view is really, really critical. to help you and your team really synthesize what you already know and get that out front and center, because you know what it should be, but it's hard to do it if you've been inside, because a lot of CEOs are struggling to do this alone. If you don't really hire an expert on the outside, your marketers aren't paid to take in opposing views. So think about that. If you're paying a marketer, they're going to market the hell out of your innovation, aren't they? They're not going to talk back to you. They're not going to say to you, well, you know what? Most of the market is not buying this. They're not buying it because they have no idea why they should. Like, most sane marketers would never ever say that to you because they don't want to be fired. So that's why you can't trust a marketer. You have to hire an outside positioning expert that's going to take an opposing view, that's going to speak for the trees, speak for the people who are on the other side of that curve, the people who feel that the risk of changing is greater than the risk of staying the same. Otherwise, you'll never influence them and you'll never cross the chasm. So don't hire an expert who if you don't hire an outside expert, you're going to go back and forth between good opinions in your team. You won't likely be using proven positioning frameworks. You're going to gravitate towards the old way of marketing. Well, if they did it before, why don't we just do it that way? So you'll also be gravitating towards a solution driven idea pool instead of a problem driven idea pool. You'll be stuck with the inside baseball, talking about your business in the way that you've been talking about it, but your customers may not talk about it using that language that you do, and continue to waste money on marketing that doesn't work. So super important for you to not do this. Um, so these are some great CEOs that have taken this expert approach to work with an outside expert, and their business is crushing it right now. I like to say, don't hire marketers, hire sales enablers, because salespeople and people that came from selling, in fact, most marketers haven't sold anything in their careers. Salespeople have, and they realize that it really is hard to get people who are risk averse to try something new. And that's why I think hiring sales enablers, positioners who understand the sales process is critical. So just to recap, what you need to win is you got to lead an uprising, start with the problem, make the customer, your customer, the hero of the story, use the secret weapon, which is this magnetic messaging framework, and invest in expert help that take a sales approach to marketing. So this was my promise to you about nailing your sales message, turning your sales presentation into buying conversations using 3 parts, why it's really game over for traditional marketing strategies, and how to attract and close more customers. So I would say now you have a choice. You can go it alone, and I want to wish you luck, or you can get help. And I realize a lot is on the line for you right now in your business. I take your business super seriously, and this is what I have for you. I'm going to just put this up on the screen. You should see this offer. Uh, you can book a 30-minute sales enablement assessment with me by scanning this QR code and or hitting the book your session now. And I would say that this is free, but there's a catch. So book a call. I've set aside 5 30-minute Zoom calls to discover really what's going on in your business. When I say what's going on with your marketing, I mean really with your sales process and your positioning. And we'll discuss what needs to be done about it and get a game plan for getting it done. So this is absolutely free, but there is a catch. And so here's the catch. I'm one person, I'm a father of 3, and I also lead a team of 2. I'm a very busy guy, so do not book a call with me if you don't have a viable product to sell, you aren't committed to the vision for your business, you are complacent with where you are right now, you really don't want to challenge the status quo of your industry, of your customers, or you cannot invest the time and money in your business. This is not for you, for sure not. But if that's not you, then please definitely book a call with me. And now I want to open it up to some questions. to you anything that you want to ask. Also, um, just share with me what was the one or two sort of aha moments. What was the one aha moment that you had here in this webinar today? And I'm going to put on the screen here the download for you of the magnetic messaging framework, because that is my promise. You'll see the little button there at the top, the handout. Click download now, and you'll get that PDF of the template of the most highly converting B2B website formula that you could use. You can copy that and build out your site using that, because that is emulating the magnetic messaging framework. So type in the chat here, Nicole, make your customer the hero. That was the one thing that you got out of that. Awesome. Peter, love the customer hero reframe. Absolutely. So what was the one thing that you got out of this discussion? Anyone? John, it's a reorientation. It is. Focus on the customer, not the solution, Yogesh. Yeah, it's so easy to focus on the solution, isn't it? Because it's kind of what we're so excited about. We wake up in the morning like, we got a solution. We got this awesome thing. We're going to change the world with it. It's awesome. It's like, so, oh my gosh, I love it. And we get so wrapped around it. We kind of forget that 99% of the market doesn't know it exists. 97% of the market don't even know that they need it. 95% of the market are pretty much okay with the way that they're doing things. So you really have to take a problem-centric view that is totally opposite what a marketer would want you to take. Marketers are like, just pay me money and I'm going to market the crap out of I'm going to use ChatGPT and I'm just going to like promote the heck out of your product. But we know that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And really good marketers, and by the way, nobody goes to school for like B2B SaaS marketing. Like you can't go to school for this, but you can appreciate that what really moves the needle in B2B marketing is when you're positioned really from the customer's point of view. You're not positioned from the solution point of view. So Yogesh, we can't find the link to material. So up in the chat, you should see handout. There's a handout there link at the top right. Yogesh, do you see that? Click on that and you should be able to download it. Give me a 1 in the chat if you've been able to download that. Paul, when we launched 12 years ago, our pitch was to help our customers go paper free. Love that. Life sciences sales reps wasted a lot of paper whenever content was updated, but now we need to think about what really moves the needle. Yes. So, Paul, absolutely. In fact, any narrative you come up with, a strategic narrative, any kind of positioning is a good 2 or 3 year lifespan, and things are going to change. And with ChatGPT and generative AI, the world is changing now faster than ever. My head is spinning. Last time I've seen an innovation with like this was like with the internet. So we're dealing with lots of change right now. And if you're playing by the same marketing playbook you did for the last 2 years, then you're not going to make it. You're not going to win with that this year, guaranteed. All right, so we are wrapping up here in just a minute. I really want to just say this. I love you guys. You stayed with me for an hour in this masterclass. I can't believe it. It probably was because it was valuable, and that makes my heart warm because I want to help. My mission in my life, besides building my business, and the purpose of building my business is to help CEOs cross that chasm and be wildly successful. And while now I'm considered like, one of the top positioning marketing experts, I see myself to be by 2027 one of the leaders, if not the most renowned leader in marketing in this new way, because of the unicorn companies that I have helped across this chasm. And I really hope that those companies are you. That's why I'm in business. That's why I wake up every day and combine my love of this business, my passion for selling, and I would say my talent have sort of all fused together to make me one of the handful of people right now in the world that can do this. So I'm really excited you're here. I'd be honored to help you guys, and I want to wish you guys really to knock it out of the park here in 2023. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you. I hope you got some value out of this, and we will speak soon. Awesome. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Thomas. Ubai, Marco, Betsy, Teal. Awesome. Thank you, John. Godspeed. Keep on rocking in the free world. Absolutely.